Hello, gentlemen of the board. It is now 6 p.m., Monday, June 6th. It is time to start our June 6th CDC meeting. First item on the list is invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Milam, would you please lead us in invocation?
Father, we thank you for another day that we have to enjoy here in this life, and we ask you to be with those that are on this board to make good decisions this evening, and we thank you for their time and their energies that they put in to serve our community. We ask you to continue to bless us here in Los Fresnos and all we do, and keep us all safe from harms. Special prayer out to those in Uvalde and other parts of the country that are facing unbelievable struggles at this time and trials, and we just ask your comfort and peace on them. Continue to bless us all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, action item D1, consideration and action to approve minutes, but hold on, let me back up for just a second. Item C, citizens forum. Do we have anybody to visit with us today? Thank you. Once again, item D, action items. D1, consideration and action to approve the minutes for the May 2nd, 2022 meeting. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd, 2022.
I'll go ahead and second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from May 2nd, 2022. All in favor? Aye. Item passes. Moving on to item D2, consideration and action to acknowledge the May 2022 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report. Mr. Milam?
Yes, sir. Members of the council, I gave you a new couple of pages there because the right part cut off of yours. So back at page 9, you can see the list of checks. They're all normal things that you've approved for various things in time. Maybe the one that sticks out was probably to you is R.M. Walsdorf, check 3190 for $10,062.50 for removal of invasive plants at the nature park. They had finished that, and we thought we might do a little more, but we thought, let's wait and see how time does on looking at it. They did a good job, I think, and didn't make a mess. And I think all the leftovers will just be there for mulch and help grow other stuff. So anyway, that's that check. The next page, you can see it's a little bit different view than what we've had before. We upgraded our financial package system into a current. There's a lot of things I like about it. One thing I don't like about it is it doesn't give us the 66% like we always talk about, but so we're still 66.7% through the year. We're at 71.2, so that's good. And then the expenses there on page 10, 27.5% or 140,000. So we're well under budget at this point. The next page just shows a breakdown of all of those categories. You can see on the second line, the sales tax. We've received 363,000 so far, which is 71.8%. this period, we had 52,771. So we're well on to our budget number. If you calculate that out, we're about 23,000 over our budget, so we're in good shape. The only other line item I mentioned to you a couple times on the business incentive grant, towards the end of the year, we'll add a few dollars to that. You can see we're over, but some of those are from last year. We don't always expense all of them in that year, so it washes out over the long term. So we'll add some to that once we get closer to the year and project out to what we'll need. We've got plenty of extra money, as you can see, in the special projects category to move, and then as well as an extra sales tax that'll be available. The next page just finishes up the totals in each category, and then on the 13, it just shows you the surplus, and it's really more than that, but it's the less expenditures plus what we have to meet the budget. Even though we'll have more than that, it doesn't show it all until the end of the year, but we're doing very well. The last one is back at page 14, and you can see our sales tax. We were just a little under 1% over. Notice the last 3 months very up and down. I would imagine that's a reflection of what our economy is doing as a whole. Where we have a good month and then a struggle and then a so-so month. So overall, we're still 7% up. And you can't beat that over a year. Whenever you look up at the top, we had 16% up last year, and I think it was way more than that the year before. So looking good overall. Is a concern that what fuel prices are going to do to normal purchases, and we'll see long term how that affects. But that's all my report.
Thank you, Mr. Milo. So we have a action to approve, excuse me. Consider an action to acknowledge the May 2022 financial. Do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to acknowledge the May 2022 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date report, and C is the self-tax report.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Moving on to item D3, consideration and action to approve a signed grant for the Vasquez drive-through located at 210 South Arroyo Boulevard.
I think everybody was here present. The committee met at 5:45 to make that recommendation to approve that sign grant as stated there on the bottom of page 15.
Correct. Any comments at all?
I would move we accept the bid, or that we grant the 2050 to 210 South Arroyo Boulevard to Maria Vasquez for the sign as presented.
I second.
Thank you, sirs.
As it's listed there. We'll use that language as it's listed there.
Good, thank you for that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item D4, consideration and action to approve funding to pave the entrance to the old Retama Street, servicing the alley and Sierra RV Park.
Members of the board, I don't know if you all know where Retama Street is because it's not paved anywhere. Just past, if you're going back into town, you see the drainage ditch, and then our trail that goes to the north, that is immediately there is Retama Street. What the city did back in 2014 was sell to the, it was Holiday Out RV Park at that time, the rest of the right of way. The city kept 12 feet for the trail, and then there'll be a fence put up there. The rest of it is, was exchanged with Holiday Out RV Park in order at that time to maybe do an apartment complex. Apartment complex fell through and whatever. Through times, Sierra RV Park purchased it. The idea was always is to change their drive from 3rd Street to the main highway, which probably makes sense and probably should have done, you know, when Holiday RV Park was built in the 70s, probably would have been a good idea to do it then. They never did. So this is an opportunity to do it. What we want to do is participate, is because then we can control that entrance, because those businesses from the wing stop, and then all of those lots along there have an alley, and they use that as a service. If that's used exclusively for Sierra RV Park, then they won't allow that wraparound in that alley. So we're asking for this approval to do this. It'll affect positively the RV park, and then all of those businesses that are potential coming up. They're talking about building a business complex where the dirt's been added. So it'll be a win-win for everyone. They can utilize the alley as a drop-off for employees or whatever. So that's the reason our involvement, and we think it'll be very positive for that whole area. Take all those RV, big heavy RV units from coming in and out that other street to come right off of 100 onto their street. So that's our recommendation, is to approve that funding.
I have a question, Mark. So if we pave that street, then we can use it without them putting private or anything like that?
Correct. What they're gonna do is right past the alley, the north side of the alley, they will put just to the north of it, a little gate, and it'll have a code type of deal, but it'll be after the alley, so that we have control of that area and entrance, so that it offers that circulation. So yes.
Make a motion to approve item number 4, funding to pave the entrance to the old Retama Street, servicing the alley and Sierra RV Park.
Let's back up a second. Are there any more comments or anybody would like to share? Okay, no more comments, it sounds like. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Need to modify the motion to add recommend the funding of the amount of $23,800 for that shared entrance.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion, a second, to approve the funding to pave the entrance of the old Retama Street, servicing the alley and the Sierra RV Park. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item D5, consideration and action to excuse the absence of Mr. Lubin from the May 2nd CDC meeting. Any comments? Mr. Lubin, just wanted to welcome you and make comment if you'd like.
Went to St. Louis for grandson's graduations.
Good point. I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the absence of William Lubin. Excuse the absence of Mr. William Lubin on May 2nd, 2022 for the Community Development Corporation meeting.
I second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion and a second to excuse Mr. Lubin's access from our CDC meeting, May 2nd. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to item E, report by CDC consultant, Mr. Martinez. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your service. As you can see in the report, the summary of items being worked on throughout the month. First of all, the business information, technical assistance, it looks pretty brisk, pretty good. You can see on a number of permits that have been reported, permitting new active businesses, new home residential. We don't know, like Mr. Milam said, what the supply chain scenario is going to be for the next few months, but we see that it's still favorable here in town. And follow-up of inquiries, please excuse my typo, it's 5 businesses, not 6, as it's shown there, including a referral from the mayor on a business from up the valley looking for a site for distribution site in this area, and others in our market, not just in town, but as I refer them to the county or to some other agency. And community development, you can see we continue asking, working with our nurseries and et cetera, see if we can get more donations, which we have for the park, and we're working on a library project. In that regards, starting Wednesday, Jennifer, I hope I pronounce this right, it's hard for me, Lesnovsky, sounds right, 3 syllables, will be interning with the city for the summer. And one of the projects she'll be working on is this library project of different items that are needed. There's a community project. Of course, I hope you all enjoy the 4th of July. It's going to be happening soon. And continue trying to make contact with these folks on affordable housing. That's been tough to get their attention, but I'm going to keep trying. That's what we do. So if you have any questions, just an FYI, I'm also going to make a list of all the opportunities, because I was flagged today of the training opportunities available in our area for our recent graduates. It had passed me by, but I will get on it immediately. So we can have a flyer sent out, and I'll send it to you all too, so you can tell the constituency, the people you bump into, of any electrical, plumbing, et cetera, skills training, welding that's in our immediate area. If there's any more questions, I'm here to reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. So the next time on the list is report by our general manager, Mr. Milam.
I'm sorry. As mentioned in my report, in my notes, on the first 2 items, there's no change. They've got some things up on the caution lights and a bridge to communicate with those back to the fire station. And so, I mean, there's stuff that's going on, but nothing that we can say, hey, we're done with those lights yet. Pretty close. Veterans Memorial, they're still not through with it. I had run into Mr. Casanova in Walmart, and we were talking, and he said, why is it taking so long? I said, well, I think that it's, these huge projects take priority over, but he promised me that we'd have it by our next meeting, so just they're working on other projects. Then the only other thing I put in there is 2022, 2023 budget. Be thinking about things. We'll look at it next month. We always look at it in July and kind of approve a preliminary. So if you've got things that you're interested in, that's the time to talk about them. And I'll provide kind of a rough draft of what we've done in history, and then we kind of use that as our model to go forward. And then we also always have quite a large amount in that budget that says special projects that comes up during the year, and we said, hey, we need to utilize those. So we don't have to have it all finalized then, but we'll just use kind of the history to tell us. And that's all I have. It's not on the agenda, but I can do it because it's just information. If you're available Wednesday, June 8th at 6 p.m. at the library, Desi was mentioning library. We're trying to do some things there for our library signage and plants and make it look different. But they're doing what we're calling a story walk, and it's you'll come out of the library and there'll be post with a sign, and you'll go to the first one and you'll read kind of the introduction of the book, and then you'll go to the second one, another page, and the third one, another page. It's kind of an interesting thing that they're doing in parks and different areas to get people to read. I read it while I'm walking, and I might read the first 2 pages, walk a lap, and read something else. So we're doing it on with a temporary look, with the idea maybe we'll do it on a permanent thing around that park, so that you can have books to do, you can do history, you can do, we can do about water conservation one time, we can do about just fill in the blank, and then we just get the things laminated and stick them in there, and people can be informational. It can be, anyway, it can turn into all kinds of things, but this one specifically is a story walk, and so it tells a story as you go through the different, I think there's, is it 12 or 13 stations I think they have for this one? 12. Yeah, we're looking at, if we do it permanent, we do 20. Doesn't mean it always has to be 20, but this one I believe is like 12. So anyway, interesting. So if you got time, they're going to kind of unveil it Wednesday, June 8th at 6 p.m. at that community park.
Thank you, Mr. Monan, for your report and that info. And that is starting this Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Just want to mention that. Okay. So moving on, item G, committee reports and action. This may be appropriate. Are there any reports and actions from any of our committees?
None from the new industry development or city development.
Okay, that being the case, we'll move on to item H, adjournment. Thank you very much.